The New York Islanders get a big win Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers, but this playoff race is going down to the wire. We also will talk about two young players who are really stepping up down the stretch and preview tonight's game against the Washington Capitals. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
You're Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Don't forget to subscribe so you get all the latest episodes as soon as they drop, both on your podcatcher of choice and on YouTube. And we want to thank you for being part of the Locked On Islanders family. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/NHL60 and use code NHL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. We have got a lot to get to on today's show, but first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at IceWars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings, and I'm live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game, so join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's always great to talk a little Isles hockey with fellow Islander fans, game time or any time. Well, the Islanders came up with a very vital 4-0 win on Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers at the UBS Arena. And, why was this such a vital win? Well, I think that's pretty self-evident right now because Florida keeps winning. They've won 6 in a row. Pittsburgh won on Saturday. They've won 2 in a row. Buffalo still mathematically alive. They won. They've now won a couple in a row. And if the Islanders lost, they would not be in a playoff position as of right now. The Islanders are the second and final wild card in the Eastern Conference. They are tied with the Florida Panthers, but the Panthers have the tiebreaker right now. So they are the first wild card. Islanders are the second, and 1 point behind these two teams, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and every team has just 2 games left to play on their schedule. And, the thing about this game that made it so enjoyable was the Islanders did not have their A game. Even though it was a 4-0 final score, the first period, they were kind of shaky. And they didn't dominate this game. Did they outplay the Flyers for most of it? Well, at least the last 2 periods, yeah. But did they dominate? Did they dictate the tempo of this game from start to finish like they did against Tampa Bay earlier last week? No. No, they did not. They kind of, especially in the first period, played down to the level of the Philadelphia Flyers. Only had 3 shots on goal in the third period because they were protecting at that point a 3-0 lead. But realistically, when all was said and done, Ilya Sorokin ends up with his 27-save shutout, and the Islanders end up with the big win. 2 more goals by defensemen. They are starting to be more productive offensively. Nice goal for Samuel Bolduc. Scott Mayfield ended up with a goal, although it was Mayfield's, then Lee's, then Mayfield's again. But realistically, this team did what they needed to do, even when they didn't have their A game. And that is very encouraging. You want other things about the game that were encouraging? How about 2 assists for Bo Horvat? He needed to start finding his offensive groove again, and he very much did do that. And getting 2 assists from Bo Horvat and having him start to pick up points on a consistent basis is something this Islander team needed. Brock Nelson gets back going with a goal. Hudson Fasching, a late goal to sort of put the icing on the cake. But I love seeing a player like Fasching, who works so hard, get rewarded. And just the way the Islanders went about things, even though they weren't playing their best hockey, was encouraging to see. And again, just 21 shots on goal, not a dominant performance offensively, but when it came to figuring out the quality shots, the Islanders had a decent number of quality, high danger scoring chances, and I guess the Flyers had about 6 or 7 all game, and the Islanders did a nice enough job, especially after that first period, of sort of locking it down and playing a little bit better. So, you got to like that aspect of the game. Now, concerns, okay, let's talk injuries. Casey Cizikas left the game early. He ended up getting injured, came back, tested it, came back, played a little bit, but then late in the game did not play. And because of the Easter holiday on Sunday, no updates from the team. We expect an update after the morning skate today. And check out our Twitter feed. As soon as we hear something about Cizikas, we will let you know. But obviously, Casey Cizikas, with his penalty killing ability, his hustle, his physicality, his offensive contributions to the fourth line, you don't want him to be out of your lineup, and his face-off contributions, you don't want him out of the lineup as you're playing the last 2 games and getting ready for the playoffs. Matthew Barzal still not practicing with the team, skating on his own, not practicing. I'm still not necessarily saying that his return is imminent, and he may not, unless he starts practicing with the team today or tomorrow, he may not be available for the last 2 regular season games. And then Alexander Romanov not skating since his injury. Again, we may get an update on all 3 of these players today after the morning skate, if they have one. But as of right now, not looking overly promising that Romanov is going to be back in action right away. And again, the way the Islanders have been playing and the way Romanov was playing pre-injury, you really want to have him back, and fingers crossed that he will be. But overall, when you break it down, a solid win for the Islanders. They took care of business. They did what they needed to do and got that valuable 2 points in the standings. And we are, needless to say, very relieved to see that. And, right now, I'm hoping that this team does not let up, because they have to keep going. They have to be effective the rest of the way in order to just get the job done and make the playoffs. You don't want to have come this far and fall just short, and it's going to go down to the wire. I'm telling you right now, they're going to need a minimum of 3 out of 4 points and possibly 4 points in these last couple of games in order to get to the playoffs. And once you get in, well, you got to hope you can avoid Boston if you could help it. But either way, got to get the job done. All right, we have got more to get to on this show. We'll talk about some controversial statements by one Bo Horvat. We'll talk about a couple of younger players who are stepping up and contributing to the Islanders' success on this late run. Plus, we'll preview tonight's game against the Capitals. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Grand Slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on, sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. And look, this is the time of year. You got the Islanders in their stretch drive, Mets, Yankees getting underway. So take a look at the odds as the New York teams, both of them loaded in baseball, getting their seasons underway. Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. So, Bo Horvat being a little controversial and probably upsetting some people back in Vancouver, and I don't necessarily need to see that. But post-game, Saturday afternoon, Bo Horvat being interviewed on MSG Network by Shannon Hogan, who I hope is doing well with her pregnancy. And Hogan asks Bo about the excitement of this building and the fan involvement over the last couple of games during the team's playoff drive here at the end of the season. And what does Horvat say? I mean, it's been unbelievable. A lot better than Vancouver, I'll tell you that for free. Kind of surprised that he took that little dig at the fans in Vancouver who were very supportive of Bo Horvat. I think he was more trying to say nice things about the fans of Long Island. And we all know New York area fans and Islander fans in particular can be very vocal, very boisterous. And, think about this. Imagine if Horvat himself was on a hot streak at this point. If Bo was actually, scoring a point a game since joining the Islanders, he now has started to come out of his slump over the last 2 or 3 games offensively. But, for him to make that statement, I think, it kind of speaks volumes about his enthusiasm. Now, look, obviously, Horvat just signed an 8-year extension. He knows he's got to do what's right as far as, talking about Islanders fans. And, is Bo Horvat a potential future captain of this team? I think he is, but we'll see. But a little dig at the fans in Vancouver that I don't necessarily think was necessary. Wanted to talk a little bit, though, about a couple of younger players who really stepped up Saturday against Philadelphia and who are playing with more confidence lately. And those 2 young players are Samuel Bolduc, who I think really is starting to, he had that really nice goal, and he does have a good shot. And I think Bolduc, when he gets more comfortable in the NHL, and I think when the coaches show a little more confidence in him, you're going to see even more potential offensive production from Boldy. But Samuel Bolduc, that goal was pretty. He had 2 shots on goal in the game. And, he played a little bit more, almost 16 minutes, as opposed to the 12 to 13 that we've been seeing from him earlier. So I think, the fact that the game was sort of comfortably won had something to do with it. But I think Bolduc is starting to get more comfortable. And depending on how long Alexander Romanov is out of action, they may need him the last 2 games and or at the beginning of the playoffs. So that's important. But the other player I think is even more important, and that is Simon Holmstrom. And Holmstrom has been on a line with Bo Horvat and Anders Lee, and we've talked about the line's lack of production Well, Simon Holmstrom is starting to be more productive. And he had 2 assists in the win over Philadelphia, had a goal against Tampa Bay, had a goal in the win over Toronto about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And, no, he's still not at the place where you sit back and say, oh, yeah, Simon Holmstrom is a major part of the offense. But the nights when he's invisible are going down as well. And here's the thing. He didn't have any shots on goal against the Flyers, but 2 assists. I'll take a night like that from Simon Holmstrom. And other than that, he's only had 1 game, other than the game against Philadelphia, in his last 10 where he had no shots on goal. So, 2 games where you didn't have any shots on goal, and in one of them you had 2 assists. You'll take that. And I think the more comfortable Holmstrom gets and the more comfortable the coaching staff gets in him, the more we'll see of his potential. I mean, he was a first-round pick for a reason. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Simon Holmstrom is all of a sudden, an elite offensive player. He's not. But he is playing better. And I think Bo Horvat even is seeing that. He said, I think he's been great. He keeps getting better and better the more he plays and the more opportunities he's been getting. He's a good, smart player, and he continues getting better and better. And Lane Lambert, I think Holmstrom has shown some confidence, a couple of assists tonight, and he's starting to make some plays. I thought Lee had one of his better games. He showed leadership. He was on pucks. He was hard, and he was good. The Islanders, until Barzal comes back, they're going to need Holmstrom to at least be a factor. He doesn't have to get goals every night or assists every night, but to contribute to the offense and to continue to not play poorly in his own zone, to be positionally sound and help clear pucks out of your own zone and pick up your man. If he can do that and just contribute a little more consistently to the offense like he's been doing the last couple of games, that's, at this stage in his career, acceptable for Simon Holmstrom. Now, you get Barzal back and Holmstrom goes to the third line, or even as your 13th forward, that's okay too. But until you get your guys back healthy, seeing sparks, little flashes more often from Simon Holmstrom is definitely a positive for the New York Islanders. So if I'm going to go with our unsung hero and go to the game, to me, unsung hero is going to be Simon Holmstrom. I think he just continues to play really, really well. The 2 assists, getting the job done offensively, not a lot of fanfare, but playing well. And then if we have to go to with a GOAT, again, it's difficult, but I'm going with the power play, which still, they were getting a few more opportunities, and they didn't give up too many egregious shorthanded opportunities. But come playoff time, you're going to need the power play to click. And I'm hoping that the Islanders find a way to get it going, because it still has not been successful. Now, they didn't have a lot of chances, but hopefully we see it. And, just a little note, Kiefer Bellows was a scratch for the Flyers in that game on Saturday. So the ex-Islanders still with the Flyers, but not dressing for games. And I just don't think that shows that Kiefer Bellows, ex-Islander, is really in the Philadelphia Flyers' plans long-term. But again, we'll see what happens, and we certainly wish him luck. We've got more to get to on today's show. We have we have a full preview, first of all, of tonight's game against the Washington Capitals. Huge game, and they are all huge now. And we have a another Vancouver connection, a former captain of the Canucks and Islanders, who is our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. So tonight, Islanders going up against the Washington Capitals. And, this is a big game for the New York Islanders. They're all big. They're both big, I guess is the way to put it. Fourth and final meeting between these two teams. Capitals won the first two games, one of them in overtime. The Islanders won the last one in a shootout. So the Islanders, with a regulation win, could certainly even the series at 2-2, with each team winning one in extra time. But it would be even better for tie-breaking purposes if the Islanders find a way to win this one in regulation. Look, the Capitals are in a big time slump right now. There's no way around that. They have now lost 6 in a row. They're 1-7-2 in their last 10. We know this team were sellers at the trade deadline, and they're not mathematically in the playoff picture. 14 points behind the Islanders in the standings. Yeah, they've got a game in hand, but you ain't making it up with 3 games to go. And then they play 3 teams that are in playoff position now down the stretch in the Islanders, Boston, and New Jersey. And, look, right now they're 20th in the league in goals scored, 16th in goals against. This is, an average to slightly below average hockey team statistically, and that's where they are. They're 2 games under NHL 500 with 3 to play. Special teams, power play, 17th in the league. That's 1 below the middle. Penalty kill is solid, 6th in the league, 82.6% success rate there. The Islanders are going to have to come up big. If they get a power play chance, won't be easy against this team. Alexander Ovechkin, currently listed as day-to-day. He is still their leading scorer with 42 goals and 74 points. Dylan Strome, 21 goals, 61 points. And then Evgeny Kuznetsov, third on the team in points right now, although, on the third line right now. So, again, this team, we know this team well. We have guys like TJ Oshie, who can be a bit of a difficult guy to play against. And then everybody knows that the Islanders tend not to enjoy playing against Tom Wilson, who is a physical presence. We know Nicholas Backstrom. We know Sonny Milano, the Long Island native, and, of course, John Carlson, the defenseman who sort of is the engine of that team offensively. Line combinations, Dylan Strome, Connor Sheary, and Tom Wilson have been the top line, with Ovechkin on out on a day-to-day basis. If Ovi comes back, he's back on the top line instead of Sheary. Nicholas Backstrom, Sonny Milano, Craig Smith, the second line. Milano, Kuznetsov, and Alexei Protas are the third line. But again, if Sheary goes back down to either the second or third line if and when Ovechkin returns. Nick Dowd, Beck Malenstein, and Nicholas Aube-Kubel, the fourth line right now. On defense, John Carlson and Martin Fehervary are the top pairing. Rasmus Sandin and Nick Jensen, the second pair. And Alexander Alexiev and Matt Irwin are the third pair. In goal, well, you've got either Darcy Kemper or Charlie Lindgren. Again, the Caps rested right now, so not sure who plays, but they're playing out the string, so maybe they want to get a longer look at Lindgren. Carl Hagelin on IR, Connor Brown on IR, and then Oshie, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Anthony Mantha, and Ovechkin all listed as day-to-day. So we'll see how many of them are ready to return to action. Islanders have to be smart, have to, again, take care of business in their own end first. That is the key. If this team plays solid defensive hockey, Ilya Sorokin will get them through most games and give them a chance to win, and then just keep going to the net, keep going into those dirty areas and creating chances there, and they have a chance to win. And again, seeing the defense get more involved offensively is good, but they can't do it at the expense of their defensive game, especially against a team with the talent that the Capitals do have, because they can make you pay. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we're a day early, but Tuesday will be the 53rd birthday of former Islanders center Trevor Linden, the Medicine Hat, Alberta native, the second overall pick in the 1988 NHL draft by the Vancouver Canucks. He had 110 points and 46 goals in his final season in juniors with the Medicine Hat Tigers, and had 30 goals as a rookie with the Canucks. Joined the Islanders midway through the 97-98 season, and played 25 games for the Isles, 10 goals, 17 points, and then was an Islander for all of 1998-99, and he had 18 goals and 47 points. Went on to play for Montreal, a second tour of duty with Vancouver, and hung up his skates after the 07-08 season. 1,382 games played for Trevor Linden, 375 goals, 867 points, and 895 penalty minutes. He was a key contributor to Vancouver's 1994 Stanley Cup final run. He had 12 goals and 25 points in 24 playoff games that year. One of his better games with the Islanders, April 17th, 1999, at the old Igloo in Pittsburgh. Islanders with Wade Flaherty in goal, Tom Barrasso in goal for Pittsburgh. But for Trevor Linden, a 2-goal game on 2 shots on goal, and he was a +2 in that one, as the Islanders crushed the Penguins by a score of 7-2. So a memorable game there for Trevor Linden. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. So we want to thank everyone once again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. Now make your second listen Game to Game NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every contest from across the National Hockey League with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back tomorrow with our key takeaways from this big game tonight in Washington. Hopefully more good news, and maybe, just maybe, even a little help if we can somehow get either Florida and or Pittsburgh to lose. Remember, the Islanders only need to finish ahead of one of them to make the playoffs, but both of them to avoid Boston. Hope everyone enjoyed their respective holidays. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.